Hello, welcome to the 22nd day of September 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, daily live video that I do every morning at around 5:30 a.m. from my balcony here in Japan or elsewhere as the sun continues its retreat, and soon I'll need to either move this activity indoors or maybe go someplace else. I do this to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. And this was foremost why I started doing this in the first place. Years and years ago, I started doing this every day so that I could, after I had codified my values in my book, I needed a way to remind myself of them and tune them and keep them going. So I started doing this. That's the main reason. So if I focus on that and if it seems like I'm ignoring comments and such, it's because I've got a mission here. The mission is to live according to my values. I will get to comments, though. I'll read comments and respond to comments and criticisms at the end. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and any interesting challenges or opportunities that I met so that I can see if I met them well. And if I did, then what were the characteristics of that good meeting so that I can do more of that? Or if I didn't meet them well, what characteristics can I discover of that I can tune and maybe do a better job? It's all about improvement. Well, I might also talk a little bit about the atmosphere of life at this moment, at this particular day and juncture. I've been talking about that a lot lately, but I have an anecdote from tomorrow to talk about now. But first, a huge welcome to new subscribers to the channel. It's good to have you here. Quick biography: I'm a 61-year-old American living in Japan with my Japanese wife. We're retired. We've got a grown kid. She lives in Yokohama, Tokyo area, and that's us. I do talk about sensitive subjects in this video sometimes, so if you're squeamish about talking about death, then just a heads up. And huge thank you to my supporters on YouTube, my members, my viewers, and especially my Patreons over on Patreon. Really do appreciate all your support. Okay, with that, let's get started. And today I am going to see the doctor, so hopefully maybe they'll give me a green light to finally take a proper full-on bath and shower. And I'm taking a bath now, but I still can't wash the face, so I've been using these alcohol-free wipes, and I can't shave, so I'm quite the mess. Hopefully they'll give me a green light to clean up after my cataract surgery last week. Okay, turning to my notes now. I have one note from the last 24 hours that says uncomfortable room. So let me explain what happened and what this was like. Uncomfortable room. Yesterday was a Sunday. My wife Yumiko and I spent the morning doing our normal routine stuff, walking the dogs, enjoying our breakfast together. We watched a little bit of a drama together, a show that we're watching on Netflix called Black Doves in the morning. Then after that, we collected my wife's sister and we went to the big shrine downtown for the flea market. And we had a great time, got lots of interesting items, including I got this bell. Listen to this. Don't know just how I'm going to use it, but I fell in love with this one vendor had that, and I asked him how much it was, and he's like, well, actually, that's not for sale. That's so that customers can alert me they want to talk to me. But he says, but I'll sell it to you for 500 yen. So I bought it for 500 yen. I have a feeling I might be able to put this to some good use. And I got some beautiful art as well, and a blackboard from an old Japanese office that I'm going to put up on my wall. Anyway, after that was done, we went and had lunch together, just Yumiko and I. Yoko was going to the hair salon. And then after lunch, we decided to go to a place called KochaCafe. Kocha is the word that the Japanese use to describe black tea, like English tea, versus green tea, Japanese tea, which it all basically comes from the same plant. Black tea, green tea, all of those various teas, they all come from the same plant. The difference, whether it yields black or green tea or whatever, depends on how it's processed. So this particular family that we've come to know, they just live maybe, a kilometer and a half down the road from us here in another part of town around the corner. They are an old family. They have a big, beautiful old farmhouse, and the matron, the matriarch of the family, has converted part of her house into a beautiful cafe, and she has some beautiful rooms, and with an engao overlooking the garden, and for 350 yen, 350 yen, it's about $2.25, you can go there and have a tea set made of tea brewed from their very own tea fields, which are just up there where the clouds are appearing right now. Her tea fields are up there. And features cakes, cheesecake, various types of sweets and pastries, and jams that she makes, served by the woman herself. Clearly, it's a total labor of love on her part. She's not really making any money on it. She just wanted to open her home to visitors and offer beautiful treats, pastries, and her own family's black tea, which is a rarity here in Japan to have black tea rather than green tea. I mean, you can get black tea, but black tea comes from, other sources, but from Japan itself is rather unusual. In Shizuoka, no less, the capital of green tea in Japan. Anyway, so Yumiko and I decided that we would go to KochaCafe and have a cup of tea together. Well, here's how it got interesting. Now, it presents itself, remember, this part of my morning exercise is where I'm going over any challenges or opportunities that I met and seeing how I handled it well. And I think you'll find this story interesting if I can tell it well. We arrived at the KochaCafe. We parked our car. No one else was there. At first, as we were walking around the garden, and I could see the side of the house, which is normally in pleasant weather, thrown open. The window, old Japanese houses are made to not less exclude the outside, but to allow the outside to come through. Imagine this beautiful breeze right here coming through the home, cooling everything. That's how they're made. The house wasn't open. In fact, I thought it was closed. I thought the place was closed for business, except for the fact that the sign was out, because the drapes were closed, the shutters were closed, etc. As we came around and we kind of peeked inside, and my wife tentatively opened the door. We were so concerned because it was so dark inside that they weren't open, that my wife even said, "Sumimasen," kind of calling in before going into the store, and then she opened the door and went in. And when we went in, the inside of the house was very warm, almost too hot. The woman came out of the dark of the interior of the house, and okusan, I believe, the word we describe in Japanese to mean wife, literally means the person of the deep inside of the house. The person of the deep inside, the woman of the house, came out into this darkened genkan, leading to the darkened house. And I was convinced that she was going to tell us, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're closed for the day. She just forgot to take off the sign." But she didn't. She welcomed us in and immediately set about doing various things. And that was the first moment that I felt I describe when emotion rises, it rises like this. It's like it comes from my gut and kind of rises up. A discomfort was rising. It's the kind of discomfort that you feel like when you're in a restaurant and the restaurant isn't well cared for, like the tables aren't bussed, there's a fly buzzing from window to window, that kind of feeling that you have, do I really want to be here? I had that feeling rising. Yet something inside of me, Temperance, #Temperance from my book, told me, "Kurt, there's more to this picture than you were aware, Kurt." So I just kind of set it aside. Now my wife, of course, is always 5 steps ahead of me on everything. She's so far ahead of me on everything. She doesn't even realize that she doesn't even have to make an effort. So for her, she was just going about her normal business. we chose to sit ourselves at the prime chair, which is the little couple's chair. It's on the engawa, which is the Japanese patio. It would be the equivalent of this. This is our second floor engawa. That's my wife's room over there. This is my room here. And we have this patio area here. But imagine this kind of closed in with polished wooden floors and windows that can be slid open. And that would be a proper Japanese style engawa. So we sat out on the chairs there together, facing one another as Japanese seating arrangements love to do. And it was sweltering out there. It was the hottest part of the house. She had turned on the air conditioner, but it was 2 rooms in, and set up 2 fans to blow air our way, but it took a while. Again, the feeling of I was like, she's not set up for business. She's not, what's going on here? She should have just waved us away, right? And my wife and I ordered, and she took off. Now, I'm proud of the fact that I realized something was up, and I literally took conscious control of my mind, and because my wife I wear my emotions on my face, and I didn't want that to show. And I know that if I can start a cascading series of statements or conversation in some particular direction, then I can change the whole momentum of my mind. Because the momentum of my mind there was leading to, this was a bad idea. We shouldn't have come here. She's clearly not ready. She's clearly lost her edge. She's not taking care of the house. What's going on here? A little bit upset, right? But I didn't that would have been, for that type of emotion to have appeared on my face, or even to have been really felt, it would have had to risen to about here. It didn't. I stopped it right about here. And not only did I stop it, but I stopped it, but I went to #reason, and I picked up a couple of topics of conversation to discuss with my wife that totally changed the subject, ignored all of that, and I leaned forward so that I would be a little bit in the flow of the cool air, which I knew would help. And it worked like a charm. Totally changed the topic, had a nice engaging conversation with my wife while the room began to cool. And then I realized, the #reason, that I had a very incredible opportunity here. We had this incredible old farmhouse to ourselves. The mistress of the house, the woman of the deep interior, was in the deep interior preparing our order, and she had already previously, in our previous visits, given me permission to film the place. And so I got up, and after Yumiko and I talked a little bit, and I said, I'm going to take some photos. And I went up and I set my camera to cinematic mode, and enjoying the darker lighting, went around and made some little video clips and photos of the place until I heard the woman of the deep interior coming towards us. And I went back down and sat down, sat down and received her beautiful, it was an incredible meal. I had gotten the black tea with lemon, and her pastry for the day was a cheesecake with a special type of a jam made of it's like a fruit called popo or something. I'd never heard of it in my whole life. Yumiko had to look it up. Yumiko knew what it was, but she had to look it up to explain it to me. Absolutely incredible. Like I said, 350 yen, $2.25 each, no tip. It's astonishing. We sat there, and Yumiko and I continued the woman of the deep interior went back inside, and Yumiko and I ate and talked. And when we were done, as we're getting better at doing, one of the things you go to a place like this to do isn't just to eat and run, but to sit and enjoy the ambience. Yumiko went over and picked out a magazine from the rack, and I continued my photographic study. And I posted a photo on social media of Yumiko sitting there reading a magazine. The woman gave us a judicious, half hour to ourselves. And as she has done in the past, she's a very gregarious woman. She's got a very interesting life story, which I won't get into because that's her story. But she lived in Los Angeles area, studying I will tell you this much: she was going to school in Los Angeles to learn to be a helicopter pilot, of all things. She's probably got about 8 years on us. She's probably closing in on 70 now. So she's older than us. Anyway, Yumiko and I had a very relaxing time after we had had our food and our conversation. The room by then had cooled. I had adapted to the fact of the darker atmosphere and leveraged that. See what happened here was I had an initial impression of what this experience should be like. It wasn't like that. I was disappointed. Emotion was rising. I used hashtag Temperance to say, Kurt, get on top of this. You are not going to let this happen. For a couple of reasons. One, I knew I was wrong. Whatever was going on here, whatever impression I had here, I was wrong. Something was amiss, for sure. I don't know what it was, but I would be completely wrong to be upset about it. And I set it down, and I turned it around, and I had a great conversation with my wife, a nice half-hour relaxation, and then eventually the woman came in to join us. We had to have some conversation, almost like a hostess, right? It's a long tradition here in Japan of going to bars and restaurants and, where you have a more intimate environment, and the hostess not only serves her guests but entertains them in a way. She gave us a lot of time on her own, and then she came and, because we kind of become friends, she actually gave me, I'll show you what she gave me. She gave me, the last time we were there, do you see these beautiful zabuton cushions? She gave these to me. They're little Rudy, and I use them like this. This one's for Rudy in front of his tent, and then I've got mine in front of my beautiful little table. So she had given that to me the last time I was there. She knew that I enjoy Japanese antiques, and she had gone to the attic of the house to get some really high quality zabuton. Anyway, so she came to spend some time with us. That's when I learned what was going on, why she seemed to be kind of off, why the house was kind of off, why everything was off. And boy, was I glad that I caught myself early and I didn't let any of my initial impression show through. Yumiko, like I said, was on top of it. She had noticed that the little Jack Russell Terrier that is usually at the front of the house has a little space there, a very nice little area. He was missing. And Yumiko, as soon as the woman came out and we had started our pleasantries, Yumiko asked her, where's the dog? And she said, the dog has cancer. Now, he's not dead. He was just resting in another room. And now it all made sense. The dog had recently been diagnosed with cancer. It's going quickly. The prospects aren't good. And this woman was devastated by the fact. And you know how things like this can knock you off your game for everything, right? I mean, it's not just a matter of having a bad day. You begin to have a kind of a bad chapter and episode of life, right? So it all made sense now, right? I mean, she only runs the cafe Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, but with the little dog having cancer and in the next room and on his way out, she had lost her edge, her vitality for what she was doing. Still going through the paces, but hardly able to make the effort anymore. Now, we carried on. We must have stayed there for another 45 minutes. Wonderful conversation. We talked about life. We talked about Los Angeles. We talked about her experience there. She lived in Marina del Rey, of all places, which is an amazing place. We had a really nice time. At the end, we came out, and she brought the dog out so that we could see the dog, and we all went outside and took the dog for just a short little walk around her compound, and before Yumiko and I left and went home. So my note for today says, uncomfortable room. But really what I'm referring to here was, remember, this is my video to talk about. It's a journal. So I'm happy that I got to relate the story. I'm sure that anyone that's watching this right now feels sympathy or empathy, maybe even if you've gone through it yourself, for what the woman is experiencing. Hopefully I painted a picture for you of a very special circumstance and a very special woman as well. But the main purpose in doing this isn't for me to do all of that. It's for me to learn from my experience, to see where I'm doing well or where I'm not doing well. And this is a case where I did very well. All circumstances aside, there's a hornet right there. It came just above the camera and buzzed around. This is an example of a case where I did really well. I spotted the emotion rising. It always rises from my stomach. I spotted my emotion rising. I used hashtag Temperance to push it down. I then used hashtag Reason to set myself up a new course of action. I then used Fortitude to maintain that course of action. Then, when I learned the real reason of what was going on and the big thing, I remembered hashtag Life Will Not Go Well. Also, if Evelyn's out there, Evelyn recently experienced an episode of the horror show. Thinking about you, Evelyn. I remembered the horror show as well, which is what the woman at the cafe was experiencing right now with her little dog, right? That took everything, all the emotions that I had felt before, and just swept them away. And empathy and a sense of fraternity and wanting to be there for my fellow human being just took place, and we totally transformed that into a good experience. Even to the point of deliberately using my worst Japanese to create funny circumstances just to make her laugh, because I know how to make the Japanese laugh with my poor Japanese. It was good to hear her laugh. All right, enough of that. Whew, that was heavy. Okay, let's go over my creed. I have 8 objectives and 1 principle that I'll talk about. My 8 objectives, and these are all available to read in Going Alone. You can go to the website goingalone.org, click on the link, read the book right in the dead center, find the chapter titled The Good Life, and all of these principles and objectives are there. Objective number 1 is to be always ready to die, to have my affairs, my relationships, and my life's work in good shape. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of time. 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, like what I've compiled in my book. At least I think they're good and sound. They've yielded themselves to be so thus far. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions so I respond well to difficult circumstances, like I did yesterday. Number 5 is to perform good actions relative to my values. Number 6 is to recognize my true limits and true opportunities. Number 7 is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully. And number 8 is to maintain my balance. Now, I'm going to read principle number 32 of 35, Arena and Utility. Okay, it's on page 272 of the hardbound edition. When I wrote this principle, what I was trying to remember was that life is this venue wherein we can have the opportunities to improve ourselves, to use our values, to live well. Where live well means living in accordance with our values, like I did yesterday, that example I did yesterday. So it's a venue, it's an arena. I always kind of think of it like a gladiator's arena, where you're fighting against sometimes yourself, but fighting against the challenges of life. And utility means that the tools that we have, the principles and the objectives of, I have my own creed, but if you have your own creed, the tools and principles of your creed can be used. Here we go, arena and utility. And I deliberately put this principle near the end of the creed, because after 31 principles prior and 8 objectives before that, we now have a toolkit. And this one's principle number 32, arena and utility, suggests let's use it well. Here we go. Every place and situation are an opportunity to practice and refine our objectives and principles. Ask yourself at every point through the day, what utility and good end might be found for the employment of your reason and philosophy, which must be forever alert, skeptical, and active. Life is the arena. Our objectives and principles are our utilities. It's interesting how I explicitly called out reason and philosophy as the overarching utilities to call upon, and they are the first. Mainly, reason is my first course of action, my first recourse to engagement. Okay, now, the next 24 hours, it's a Monday. I have a doctor's appointment a little later this morning. It'll be my third follow-up visit with the doctor. They'll just put me under the thing and check everything out, make sure my eye is healing well. It seems to be healing very well. I've been very good about keeping eyewear on of one sort or another. I can't get over how beautiful, crisp, and clear the whole world looks now. It's very exciting. Hopefully they'll give me a green light to clean all of this and shave this and become presentable and get out and do more exercise and stuff like that. Because I've been kind of holding back because I haven't been able to wash up. I don't want to get too messy, you know. Okay, let's read comments. It's comment time. I found a use already. Hello, Michael Littlejohn. Hello, Julie BBB. Who is asking, is that a Fresno State t-shirt? No, this is Cal State University Fullerton, my daughter's alma mater, where she graduated last year. I got this shirt last year. I can't believe I've already wore it out. Hello, Evelyn. Evelyn says hi to Michael and Tim. Evelyn says hello to Julie, too. Julie says hello to Evelyn. How's Italy? Tim checks in with weather in the UK at 9:37 p.m. at 8.3 C. That's the coldest yet. And 74% humidity. Nice sunny Sunday, Tim. Wow, 8.3 C. Over here, Tim, is 21 C and 62%. 21 C and 62%. Let me mark that down. That's a significant drop. 21 C, 62%. Just yesterday at this time, we were at 24 and 84. So today's supposed to be like significantly cooler than yesterday. Thank goodness. I am really looking forward to the cooler weather. There's actually a little bit of a bite in the air this morning and a chill in my feet. Tim says hi to Evelyn. Evelyn says to Julie, thank you for asking. Enjoying my time here. Hope you're having a good day there. Have you had lots of good food, Evelyn? I imagine you have. Tim says, that can be Rudy's walkie time bell. That's a good point. Yoko, my sister-in-law, suggested to Yumiko that she put it in the kitchen and ding it when it's mealtime, so it call me down for lunch and breakfast and dinner. You know what? That's a good idea, Tim. You can ding it and in a Pavlovian sense train Rudy to know that's walkie time. That is an interesting idea. Julie says it's a perfect blue sky day here, 75 degrees. I always think of 75 degrees as just the perfect temperature. It's pretty much what it was almost always in Huntington Beach, where I lived before here. Robert says hi to everybody and chimes in with the weather in Napanee, Ontario, Canada at 74. Look at that. You and Julie are almost aligned in temperature. 55% humidity and AQI of 31. Good to see you, Robert. Evelyn says, hey, Robert. PF. PF, hello. I haven't seen your name before. You seem to be a new visitor. Welcome. Hello, Softy P. Have a wonderful, everyone. Thank you very much, PF. Appreciate it. Tim says hi to Robert. Robert says hello to PF. Neil. Hey, Neil. Haven't seen you for a bit. Good to see you. Morning from New Zealand. My wife just got back from Japan on the weekend. She said it was so hot, but see, it's got more comfortable all of a sudden. Some relief from that heat. Must be so nice. It is really nice. We bought this, I bought this dog stroller thing, which I'll be engaging very soon. That's something else I'm going to do today, is take the dog stroller to the bike store to get the entire tires properly installed and inflated. It's not fully put together, and then I'll be spending a lot of time outside with the dog stroller. Robert says hi to Neil. Tim says, it's a real good factor to be able to take the pain on someone's mind away just for a little time so they can enjoy a fleeting moment of normality. Yeah, I agree, Tim. Hello, Claude. Ohayou gozaimasu. Have a great Sunday and a week to everyone. Every time I make a mistake, I fall into the abyss of learning something new. My quote. It's a very nice quote. Thank you for the well wishes as well, Claude. Robert says, hello, Claude. Tim says, I just heard the bell of purpose. There you go. Did you hear the boom behind me? That's a little firework that goes off. They're rallying the neighbors at the next community over that way to come clean up. They had a festival last night. They're going to come clean up. I heard a little pow. It's interesting how they do that. They send off these little firecrackers early in the morning. Bam, bam, bam. And it's to basically tell all the men in the neighborhood, get out of bed and come help clean up the shrine. Tim says temperature, and you can hear that in this wide valley of Shizuoka. Way over there, bam, 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 on weekends or something like that. Temperature in the space of 20 minutes has now dropped to 7°C. There might be the first grass frost tonight. Wow, that's fast. Hello, Whiskey. Good to see you. It's been a while. The eye is doing great. Thanks for asking about my eye. I can see great. Pain's all gone. And I'm seeing the doctor in a couple of hours for a checkup. Hopefully they'll give me a green light. Hopefully they'll let me shave and wash my head. Robert says hello to Whiskey. Whiskey says, what happened with your prescription lenses now? Do you get them changed? So no, I still need glasses for reading. So I elected, when I got my cataract surgery, I had the option of getting what are called, there's a word for it, adjustables or adaptables, or some word like that, which means basically bifocal lenses in my cataracts. I chose to not do that. If I had gotten those, then I would be able to read and see clearly in the long distance. But it's really expensive to get that. So I just chose to get the standard cataract lens, surgical lens. And so I'm going to have like really good vision for far, but I'll still need reading glasses. And I knew that going in. And I don't have, these are not prescription reading glasses. These are just drugstore 150 power lenses, that's all. And for reading, what happens now? Yep, that's what happens. Tim says, just keeping an eye on my outside weather station. Oh, you've got an outside weather station, no kidding. And the temp is dropping quickly now, down to 6.8, probably the cloudless sky. It's going really fast. Well, I know it's nighttime there, so right, so that's, Tim, if you've ever had an experience of a desert, it's really interesting to watch the temperature drop in a desert because there's not a lot of moisture in the air. So as soon as the sun goes down, it's like the heat off of a body laying on a bed without a cover. It just evaporates away, and the desert can go so cold so fast. It's really interesting. I thought you'd find that interesting. See, you're experiencing something like that yourself right now. All right, well, I've reached the end of comments, and I wish you all the very best today and a good weekend. And of course, Evelyn, we're all thinking about you over there in Italy, enjoying your time over there. I hope you have a fun time today. Tim says, I had the varifocals for near and distance, but recently gone back for distance lenses with not working on a computer anymore. Ah, yeah, that's a good idea. Now, since you don't need it so much, you don't need it so much, right? Good point. That's suggested, right? All right, guys, have a great day. Thanks for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Be safe, but not too safe. Bye for now.